Hi, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I'm heading towards the Walworth Methodist Church in Southeast London. It's the 30th anniversary celebration of the Ghana Nurses Association of UK, and today they're holding a health promotion program as part of its anniversary celebrations. And as you can see from the hall, fervent preparation is going on, arranging of the chairs and setting of the various stations where various health topics will be discussed. So we have people from Prostate Cancer UK, and then we have the diabetic awareness station where you can see all the blood monitoring machines ready to test people, and also the information leaflet on diabetes. And then we go to these two tables which deals with breast care, issues with breast cancer, menopause, issues concerning women. And then we move on to the blood pressure monitoring station where people's blood pressures will be monitored. I'm at the diabetic awareness table. I took the opportunity to check my blood sugar level as I haven't done this for a while.
Ghana Nurses Association. We are health promoting, and this is the stand for the diabetes department. Presently, we are just randomly checking sugar levels of people. And what we'll do is, if it's above what it should be, we will signpost you to go and see your GP, as we have that privilege. But otherwise, we will soon have a talk, and I'm going to talk about how diabetes comes about and how we should look after ourselves. Because statistically, 1 in 3 of Black people, all of us, are prone to diabetes, and 1 in 6 of Asians are prone to diabetes. So it's worth bringing the awareness to our people so that, and it's all eating well, making some exercises, and warding off diabetes.
My name is Martha Nugent. I am here today to have my blood sugar checked because I have a very strong family history of diabetes. And as a result of that, I am checking my blood sugar to know what it is and to look after myself. This is a health promotion program, and we all need to look after ourselves.
It's time for the diabetes talk, and you might want to listen carefully. I certainly learned one or two things.
This is our muscles, and this is the pancreas. Now, this is our body. This is the body that I'm standing here with, and the blood circulation going through. So this is a very simple, straightforward thing. To become a diabetic, you got a problem with your pancreas. That's why that is a very important thing there. Now, this is the cycle. So we eat. Say with all these foods you are eating, when you finish, come and check your sugar levels. It will be interesting to know. So, this, when you eat, it goes into the system as sugar. Anything you eat, whether it's got sugar or not, is going to turn to sugar in your bloodstream. This is what you should all know. It's very important because it gives us energy. But as soon as it hits, so the purple bit you see is actually the sugar. So as soon as you eat, it enters the bloodstream as sugar, and then the pancreas, it's a very important organ. It will release, the green bit you see is insulin. What it does is, as soon as it senses you've eaten, then it's going to release this insulin to clear the sugar out of the bloodstream. It's good you listen to this very carefully. It clears it into the muscles, because you see, our activities is by our muscles. So it's been done in such a way that it clears it, it goes into our muscles, and then we are very strong. But notice this. As you can see, this is just the morning breakfast. So by the time it comes to lunch, there is no sugar in your bloodstream. So lunchtime, you need to top it up. And then the whole cycle begins again. This is the cycle. So you eat, it turns to sugar into the bloodstream. The pancreas relieves insulin, secretes insulin to take it out of the bloodstream, and then you go and eat again. So it takes approximately, that's why we have 3 meals a day. It takes 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and then by 6 o'clock, the rest of the night you are going to sleep. You're not supposed to eat at night, but then we are nurses, we work at night. So it's all a matter of discretion. If you are type 1, if you've had type 1 diabetes, you don't have a pancreas. So you are going to have to imagine this. There is no pancreas. So if there is no pancreas and you eat and it turns to sugar and there's no pancreas with insulin, tell me what will happen. So if you don't have a pancreas, like I said, put your imagination to it. If you don't have a pancreas, it means you were either born without a pancreas or some sort of autoimmune system killed it off. So you become a type 1. So some of them, normally children, we find out very early. By 6 months, we would know that you are diabetic because they can't keep their food down, they can breastfeed, and then immediately the first thing a doctor would do is check if the person is the baby is diabetic. So we pick them up very early, But as a grown-up, when you have pancreatitis, if it's a very severe one, it kills off the pancreas. And then you immediately turn into, as soon as it kills off the pancreas, you need insulin. Because without insulin, nobody lives. You need your insulin to be able to live. So that's type 1, no pancreas. Or some sort of problem has caused it. Now with type 2, you've got your pancreas, but instead of giving you a surge of insulin like, you've eaten, it's gone into the bloodstream. And I must say, it takes a sequence to get to the bloodstream. When you eat, it doesn't just hit the bloodstream. It has to go through circulation and all that to get there. So that's the time. So you have your pancreas working okay. It hits the bloodstream. But the problem is, instead of this surge, you have just droplets of insulin coming out. So in that case, you don't have enough insulin to clear the sugar. So with the type 2, if you come here, you still see the purple bit over here. And what they do is they eat on top of it, and then it accumulates. Then it goes round the circle again. Very little insulin comes out. Then they eat more, and then it accumulates. Now, this is why we have to talk of signs and symptoms. So once it becomes like beginning, the body is a wonderful mechanism. So what happens is it copes. It will cope, and it will to cope, and it will cope. But then it gets to a place when you have to run to the loo. That's normally the first signs and symptom is you tend to run to the loo very quickly. So, and it has nothing to do with your drinking. So say you get up in the morning, perhaps you wee in the night. Like me, I wee like 10 times before I get up. If you don't wee and you wait, so 1, 2, you'll be weeing quite frequently, And then perhaps you don't even drink, but you still have to run to the loo. And when you go to the loo, some people itch down below. I don't think it's only for ladies, even gentlemen. They itch down below, and they itch like mad. So say you don't wee, but you start itching down below. Immediately you itch and it's not going. When you go to your GPs, they are going to say, oh, let me give you a pessary, or let me give you some tablets. But the problem with diabetes is it will come back as soon as the pessary goes up and do what it is, it comes back again. Now, if it's not diabetes, it will usually heal. But if it doesn't, then you should think, those things in your head should run and say, I'm not happy with this. Another thing is, if you are not weighing, you are not getting each down below, you drink loads of water. So for instance, if I'm on the street and I see somebody with a 2-liter Coke drinking it, I know instinctively that that person is diabetic, because the body craves sugar. So as you've got too much sugar in your system and the body is not coping, you crave more sugar. So people tend to drink Coke, the red Coke, and not the black and red one, the red one. They drink it upon drink it, and they are thirsty, but somehow instead of drinking water, they will drink Coke. It's a phenomenon we don't understand, but it's very common, particularly the young ones. So that's a symptom. Another symptom is blurred eyes. You don't have itch, you don't have wee, you don't have anything, but you begin to blur. You can't put that down. You begin to blur in your eyes. So you'll be reading, you're somebody who read avidly. Suddenly you can't read. You see things double. Now, if you have glasses like mine, you would immediately think, oh, my glasses need sorting out or something of that sort. So you go to the opticians, and then they do your glasses and you are still not seeing. The next thing is your GP. Tell your GP, you know what, I've been getting blurred eyes. Your GP will do a diabetes check for you. Going on with the signs and symptoms, another one is getting boils. So if you get boils under your arms, in your crevices, so between your bum hole, down below there, under your crevices and under your boobs, suddenly you get a boil, think diabetes immediately. Just why should you get a boil? You must have infection to get a boil. But you see, the diabetes acts as infection. It has to come out of the body. As long as there's so much accumulation of sugar, it has to find a way. And so it comes out as boils. And then they have also found out that it actually goes around your brain. So with older and elderly people, they get dementia. And you find out that they have been diabetic. It's never been diagnosed because the poor people are not going to worry doctors, so they don't say anything. And by the time you realize, they've got dementia because the sugar is going to destroy the brain. It gives you strokes also. So this is the signs and symptoms, and I'm venturing into complications. And the complications start from the brain, as you can see. So your eyesight, your brain, and don't forget your teeth. 9 out of 10, you are getting caries because of the sugar. Because the sugar is a destructive thing. It enters all the organs and messes it up big time. Right. Now, if you come down, that's the heart. Now, the heart beats comfortably. If you have too much sugar, it overbeats. You get palpitation for no reason. Now, I get palpitation when I take coffee, but I had to find out myself because I was convinced I'm getting diabetes, knowing what I know, but then it was caffeine. So I had to cut down and go caffeine free, So this is what we do slowly now. Because it beats high and sharp, you are going to get hypertension. Most people have hypertension and they think, oh, it's in the family. No. Perhaps your sugar level is making you get hypertension. Now, when you come further down, the kidneys. The reason why I became a diabetes nurse, I was a dialysis nurse for many years. And in the dialysis unit, 70% to 80% of the patients are diabetics. So in my hospital, you are forced to do the diabetic course. And this is how I came into diabetes, because they force you to go and do the course. Everybody's diabetic. You better go and learn about it. And we used to be terrified about diabetes because you have to learn all the organs. We didn't want to learn that. But it's a wonderful thing if you know. So this is how I came into diabetes. I learned it and I thought, I'm stuck, not moving again. And that's how. Now, so that's the kidneys. It goes into your kidneys. It's overflooded. The kidney goes very angry because sugar should never pass through the kidney. And the reason being that it's got a fine mesh, if you know what I mean, a fine mesh, and it sifts all these things. Now, sugar is a huge molecule. So when it goes through the mesh, it bores holes into it. And then all the good articles that should stay in your body passes through these holes. So gradually the kidney shuts down. And then you have to go for dialysis. And it starts from diabetes. Right. Now, when you come further down, the bladder. Remember, I told you you run to the loo and come back. You may not run to the loo, but what happens is the sugar accumulates in your bladder and the genital area. So what happens is that in the genital area, we have something called the vaginal flora. And this flora is like little animals that eat infection. They clear all your bladder and your vagina and everything. That's what they should do, is their job. But when sugar is overflooded, they get drunk. The sugar come and they think, wow, what is this? And so they drink it, get drunk, and that is the cause of the itch down there, because the flora are half asleep or dead. And so there's nothing to clear that place for you, you know. So as you can see, it's eating slowly. Then, of course, the bladder, you are going to get bladder problems when you can't wee, shamoba, and things like that. You know, it all starts with diabetes. So you come further down, and there are things called diabetes can affect your feet. Now, to begin with, you have pins and needles. You have some people don't even know they have diabetes, but they get pins and needles, they have cramps, they have funny feelings in their feet. And so they go to the GP to say, my feet are aching. I can't even describe the pain. You know, when they come to me and say that, I instinctively know that, have you checked your sugar level? They'll say, well, no. And when you check it, you find out that they are diabetic. So they haven't had the wee bits, they haven't had the drinking bits, they haven't had nothing, but their feet is killing them. And there's this myth of a lot of people saying when you get diabetes, they chop your feet off. It's not true. But let me tell you the sequence that leads to it. Because when you get the sugar, floods the nerve endings in your feet. It goes around it and kills it. That's the difference. It actually kills it. So you get numbness in your feet like forever. You get pins and needles in your feet like forever. We have medication that we give to take all these pains off. But in the long run, you are diabetic. So what happens is your nerves are gone. So that means you have no pain. So you walk on a nail. Say you are walking barefooted, which we do in Africa a lot. You walk, a nail enters your feet, you won't feel the pain go through your feet. So you get a wound. You don't know you have a wound, and then it festers. And what do? You get an ulcer. And before they find out, it is so bad they have to chop your feet off. That is what happens. That's the sequence. So if you look after yourself, everything will be fine. Some older people get the numbness in their fingers. So they notice you pick something and it drops. It's all part and parcel of it. And Auntie is going to talk to you about food.
I'll show you what makes the African fight a diabetes that we cannot win. Look at this, the food on there. I want you to study them. If you eat these sugars, this talk is for you. This is what causes the diabetes. Because when you go to lectures in England, we give you the Eat Well chart. If anybody has seen the Eat Well chart, has it got any of these food on it? So we get educated in UK with Eat Well chart, have smoothies, have this. When we go home in our culture, this is what we meet. So how can we manage our diabetes? That is why we fail. Because if you want to talk to Africans, Asians, and you use the Eat Well chart, it doesn't work. Because when they go home, our African kitchen, our African chop bar, our African food restaurant cook this. Even in DNA, we have wache, we have jollof. We don't have Eat Well chart. So this is our problem. We are going to use pictures for you to take powerful messages home. Now, I've put fish there. Eat more, moderate, and eat less. Eat less. We've got cow foot there. We've got shaki, or animal shaki or tribe. Yeah. We've got trotters. I've got what you call the skin, wole. Yes. We eat wache, is wole, cow foot. This is what we eat. You used to cook. Am I lying? Yes. Do you have a nice rump steak you eat, or this and that? You eat some. But in African kitchen, at home and in England, this is the food we are eating. So my message is, take the pictures, eat less of what you see at the bottom. Any protein that has got 4 legs, any protein, cow, sheep, goat, got 4 legs, eat less. What do I say? 4 legs, eat less. We have a lot of research done about gari, konkonte, what tozafi, achake. All those things, we have research on it. And we're going to see what African foods we can recommend when we're at home. So if you've got banku, for example, and I have got konkonte, which one would you recommend to a diabetic in Ghana? Exactly. Konkonte is because of the process. The banku, because we use corn and cassava together, is higher in GI. Look at this picture. That's all I have. Every little blood drop or every sign is 5 grams of carbohydrate. 5 grams of carbohydrate in every little drop. So look at the gentleman with the banana. It's a moderate or small looking banana, and it's got, say, 15 grams of carbohydrate. It enters your bloodstream. Look at how much drops of carbohydrate or glucose. A small amount, isn't it? Look at below, the naan bread. The naan bread has got a lot of carbohydrate, isn't it? It's got so much carbohydrate. Say every 5 is 5, 15, that's 30, that's 45. Look at your bloodstream. It's got that sugar they are going to the bloodstream. Sister Gloria talked about your sugar. What it does is that when the blood sugar rises, those of us, we call hemoglobin A1C, that is glycated. The sugar molecule attaches itself to the hemoglobin molecule. So it becomes glycated hemoglobin A1C. And that's what it does. This donut is very smooth. If the sugar attaches it, that is what it does. So that your blood vessels becomes rigid, the kidney becomes affected, and the brains becomes affected because the suppleness and the elasticity of the blood vessels have all been glycated. So it becomes rigid and they don't work well. That's why you had cardiovascular problems. That's why you got this. Because the sugar is glycated, is floating in the blood, and it coats everything and damages it. So look at the two. And the higher the hemoglobin A1C, the more coating you get. And it's over time, it doesn't work anymore. All the organs begin to suffer. So that is what eating too much of fufu, too much of banku, everything does. So I'm going to ask you, I'm a diabetic, I'm on insulin, if you're going to recommend to me, Helen, what bowl of fufu would you suggest for me that to eat? Which one? The first, the second, or the third one? The third one, because how we manage is portion control. So we can eat fufu, we can eat banku, we can eat anything we want, but portion control. So I'm using our own food to talk about diabetes. I'm not going to eat watch out or things that we don't normally use. Because when we go home, we get worried, and I get telephone calls. I'm eating ampesier, I'm eating this. So we have to be true to ourselves and use our culture to educate people. You see the ampesier? You see that, the first one and the second one, you see, if you look at the plate here, it has got everything on, but it's got a bit of salad, it's got a bit of small amount of jollof, it's got fried plantain, and the fried plantain is only 2. Instead of a heap jollof, some of noodles and fried plantain, it makes your sugar go right up, and it gets it glycated, all your organs coated with sugar. So look at the jollof at the bottom. Look at how big it is and how many plantain strips is there. And look at this one. So you recommend that one. The way we use pictures is that in Makola Market, I don't use any data. I use pictures. So if you show anybody who does the cooking at the restaurant, this is how much you must give it to your husband, he or she understands more than writing, giving them leaflets to read. So we don't give leaflets to read, we use pictures. So you can imagine what you've seen. And a picture speaks 1,000 words. So within 5 minutes, you take something home. I love kenke and fried fish. And kenke, look at that kenke. 2 bowls of huge kenke. 2, huge. And the fish is fried. But look at that one. But it has got avocado. Avocado pear, it has got more vegetables, so that what we use, because of the time constraint, because I'll show you pictures and pictures and pictures of non-starchy carbohydrates, that your broccolis, your carrots, and all that. Beautiful pictures, especially all the pulses, all the beans and the lentils that you can use to bulk up your food. And it's a good healthy protein. Instead of having too much carbohydrate, you reduce it. So I go to the kenke sellers and I said, give something like that to your customers and advise them to slow down there. They understand. This shows you the curve. Everything, you see the small amount of rice, medium, and high. Look at how high the curve is. That means your blood sugar is up in the skies, right up in the attic. By the time it comes down, the damage is done. I'm doing swaps, meal swaps. So if you look at here, I've got the super malt. I've got puff puff, the donuts, buffaloat. I have got the chin chin, achomo, and I have got the meat pie, which is a classic Ghanaian packages. You go to funerals, you go to parties, everywhere you go, there will be a small bag or a small box of these food laced with super malt. Now, what I'm saying is that consider that one. We've got mixed nuts, we've got mixed berries, and we've got fruit, and we've got water. You don't have to read the books. You've got the answers. Just think about swapping, and you'll be healthy. Yes? Look at the white bread. White bread, and it has got the sugar in white bread. When you eat white bread, it's absorbed very quickly. So we're using either granary bread, wholemeal bread, and I want you, anything that is wholemeal is better than white. So anything that is wholemeal, so go for wholemeal basmati rice, wholemeal bread. Anything that is whole wheat, wholemeal, whole mix is much preferable. Again, here you've got regular white potatoes and sweet potatoes. Regular white potatoes has got, compared to sweet potatoes, got more fiber. And fiber is almost is the best because it's give you much more roughage and the stomach empties slowly. Any food that takes longer time to break down into glucose inside you and lets it gradually absorb into the bloodstream is better than a food that absorbs very quickly. So the example is that this white potatoes compared to sweet potatoes, prefer sweet potato is much better. So you recommend that to people. Look, this is banku and this is fufu. The fufu I'm talking about is cassava and plantain mixed fufu or kunkonte. It's just based on research that has been done by Ghanaians, Nigerians. This is only within the last 5 years. Because of the processes of the food, if you have konkonte, the way it's dried, the way it's processed, it attracts some of the carbohydrate particles and make it, the glycemic index is slower. So when you eat that, it's slowly absorbed and the glucose is broken down slowly to say banku. Banku is a corn base. We find that cassava-based preparation, because the processes are hot, cold, it attracts the carbohydrate inside the food and makes it slowly to break down into glucose and therefore slowly absorb into the bloodstream, keeping your GI or glycemic index lower. And that is better for everybody, but particularly so for diabetics or pre-diabetics. So exercise to crown it all. What I've shown you, if you go and eat a huge amount of, say, konkonte, again, it's no good. So portion sizes, you have to have small amount. And I want you to say that walking is an ace. Walking is an ace. Exercise, but exercise, I've only chosen one exercise because of time. So walking is free. You can walk in your mama, you can walk in your trousers, you can walk in your skirt, you can walk anywhere. The rest of the exercises, you have to change into lycra to go to the gym or swimsuit and all that. Walking is free. And if you walk, you benefit from loss of weight, your diabetes is better, your heart health is better, everywhere is better. So please, ladies, walking is an ace. So 4 legs, portion control, and walking is an ace. Thank you very much.